And so let me hit this point about psychological warfare, since that is the crux of the topic today. When you think about your personal life, because like I said, this translates over into our personal lives, I wanted to touch on three particular instances. One is corporate America, which I work in currently, sports, and then the book Win Friends and Influence People. So let's touch on corporate America briefly. So if you think about, and anybody who's in corporate America, I'm sure you can attest to this, can relate to it on whatever level. But you think about your interaction, and you could be either guilty of this or you could have observed this like me. I'm far enough removed from the tactics of corporate America to truthfully say that I don't engage in these tactics. I don't feel a need to. But again, neither here nor there. But if you think about how you have either manipulated relationships to move ahead, or you've observed that behavior in others, you've seen individuals in situations where they've taken advantage of their knowledge of body language and the messaging that it correlates, and you've seen them able to manipulate certain favors or to be able to network themselves into a position or into a world they hadn't prior to been a part of. Then you have what I call power plays, where you have individuals, and I've had this happen to me many times because of my rival support role, and so you have people play that proximity game with you, where they try to get all the way up in your face. They say, damn that personal space, that 3 feet. They don't regard that at all. They just go ahead and get to it until you can smell their breath and see the spit forming on the edges of their lips, corners of the lips. And yeah, they do that, and it's for a reason. It's because of whatever training they've had, in school, or whatever videos they've seen on YouTube, or whatever a mentor shared with them about getting the upper hand or asserting yourself or being an alpha or exuding a certain level of confidence. All of these things are part of psychological warfare. You know what I'm saying? It's premeditated, it's tactical, and it is results oriented. The result being you establishing your position with them. I don't want to say dominance, that's general. Whatever it is, whatever your intention is, because some people use it to play docile or to play demure. Whatever they need to do, it's very primal in that way. And then you even have handshakes. I've had people try to be very aggressive in their handshakes, men and women. We'll touch on that dynamic in other videos too. But again, I just want you to pay attention, because it happens, malicious or not. It definitely happens, and the impact is felt. So we can go to eye contact, and I'm just trying to replay instances in my mind as I share with you. You have an individual who tries to burn a hole through you because they've learned that eye contact is important, and it the eyes are the windows to the soul, and you can really peer into somebody and understand somebody and see what somebody's made of, and if they are confident, and if they're not confident, you can attack. It's all psychological warfare, man. It's all a power play. You know what I'm saying? Over talking somebody, being dismissive. All of these things, tactics, premeditated, very purposeful. So yeah, just be mindful and just understand how much a part of our lives it really is. And so when you think about sports, right, I don't think it takes a whole lot of thought or insight to see psychological warfare, and manipulation in play. Take for instance the amount of trash talking that takes place during a professional sporting event. And I'll focus on basketball because that's the sport that I pay the most attention to and enjoy the most. So you think about on that court, offense or defense, um, you going down the court and you got somebody in your ear talking trash. They may have heard a story about you, or in this day and age they may have seen something online or whatever and saw that that was a trigger of yours, so they know they can tap into that to get you off of your game and disrupt your stats and disrupt your performance, and so they'll do that. Then you have the whole dynamic between the players and the referees, how they'll try to coax the referee into making a certain call in their favor, or they'll unnecessarily reprimand a coach, or a referee rather, excuse me, for a call that was the correct call, but because they again want to finesse it for the next time, they'll create doubt in the referee's mind. So all these things are at work, man. Again, malicious or not, um, that's not what I'm here to debate. I just want to point it out and enlighten you and encourage you to examine yourself to see where you stand and to see if you really are okay with manipulating or deceiving somebody just to get what you want. And then if you think about, like I said, the book, or before I even go to the book, if you think about cheating in sports, now of course we already covered the fact that Conor McGregor cheated in his bout with Khabib, but that's also very evidently a ploy to knock the opponent off of their game, to distract them, to disrupt them, to cause them to divert their attention from you to watching for a dirty blow, or watching for that hand grab or that offhand that you use to push off when you drive into the lane, or that extra step you take, that travel, and we all know there are players in the NBA. For all my NBA aficionados, my NBA heads, we all know for sure there are players that get away with it religiously, whether it's traveling, whether it's carrying, whether it's offensive fouls, whatever, you name it, they do it. And depending on their status, depending on how they play the refs, depending on their image, they get away with it. So again, easy to see. So moving on, as I mentioned, this book, Win Friends and Influence People, just think about that title. The author's Dale Carnegie, if you're interested. But just think about that title, to win a friend and to influence somebody. Now those words are coded. That's coded language. You typically win a prize, and there's typically a strategy that you employ to win a prize. Now if I step back and think about my friendships, I don't think I've ever, or matter of fact, I know I haven't, but I don't think I even ever thought about having to pursue a friendship or to strive toward a friendship as if it was a prize. So just that language right there, man, you gotta watch things. You gotta really be mindful, be aware of what you're ingesting and what you're digesting, because those things have an effect on you, mind, body, spirit. And then you go to influence people. Now typically you want to influence people, and again we're thinking about the selfishness of our nature. You want to influence them to have them do that which you want them to do, typically for your benefit, right? So if you influence somebody, then what you're doing is causing them to change their behavior, modify their behavior in order to suit you. That's a form of manipulation. And then if we just go to the different sections of this book, how people to your way of thinking, again, you try to change their ideology, their perspective to suit you. Because what? You want your particular goal achieved. How to make people like you. Now, I come from the school of thought that you can't make anybody do anything. It has to be their choice. But I think what they're saying here is that they will manipulate you in such a fashion to where you will change to appease them, whereby it seemingly is them who is changing you. But again, it's you who are making the decision, but it's under false pretense, under duress, even if it's unconscious or below your conscious. And then lastly, how to change people. Like I said, you can't change a person. They have to want to change on their own. So if you're talking about changing somebody, it's because you're deceiving them into believing something that they ordinarily wouldn't believe, or into doing something they ordinarily wouldn't do, or into behaving in a certain fashion that they normally wouldn't. We think about things like peer pressure, which happens in adult life as well. We can discuss that in a different video, but again, these things, man, we have to be mindful of. We can't just walk around cavalierly or in a fog or in a coma like zombies. Got to be aware. You got to walk circumspectly. You got to walk with a purpose, live with a purpose, think with a purpose, speak with a purpose. Have goals, and be mindful of other people as you make those goals, and be mindful of your spirit as you make those goals. You dig? But again, that's a topic for another day. Now, how could I forget about the wonderful world of dating? Now, beloved, I don't think I need to really connect the dots there. If you really just sit back and think about dating and that whole dynamic, and all of the power plays and attempts at manipulation or getting the upper hand, however you want to phrase it. But you certainly will be able to see psychological warfare at work, manipulation, body language, all of that. My sisters out there, I'm sure if you're being honest with yourself, there have been instances, short stretches, long stretches, entire stretches, where you've, used your feminine wiles and got yourself a simp who, didn't have a backbone, or, bowed to the divine feminine principle, or whatever, other kind of foolishness that we ascribe to one another. But point is this: it's prevalent. You're not going to get around it, especially when you're talking about people who are selfish, self-serving, which we all are in our flesh, which is why we have to be intentional about not being those things. And of course, the more disciplined and devout you are to not be those things, the easier it'll become to not be those things. But by and large, for the most part, people do for themselves. It's a survival instinct. It's biological. Again, so I understand it. And let me back up a little bit. Just because one understands something does not mean one condones it. Because I don't condone most things that go on in this world. That's what godliness means, really. To hate the world and love the Father. So you'll hear me say I understand a whole lot, but what you won't hear me say is I condone or I advocate for a whole lot, particularly when it comes to the world and things in it and of it. So anyway, getting back to dating, again, just sit back and think about it, man. I don't even think I need to go much further than this. And of course, I picked on the sisters, if you want to call it picking on, but the brothers do the same thing, and they use, you know, sex, just like women use sex. You know, if that game is strong for the brother, he'll you know, do whatever he can to just get in there one time, and he know he got her hooked. Same way with the female, they'll play the game, put on their best front, say everything they know the brother wants to hear, massage his ego, whatever. You know, maybe give him some, you know, or let him taste it, or whatever you wanna, you know, set the parameters up to be. But the point is, you get what you want, and then you dispose of the brother or the sister, and that's psychological warfare. That's manipulation. That's body language. So again, man, I picked this particular topic, Conor versus Khabib, because it was a hot button topic, and I wanted to just jump on that train to get a little bit of momentum. But I think it's very, very, very timely just to be able to examine yourself. I think self-examination is always a good thing. Never out of season, never inappropriate, always on time. So examine yourself. Now, whether or not you think anything is wrong with manipulating somebody or playing mind games, it's on you. But I just leave you with this. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot and you were the one that were being manipulated, or, you know, taken advantage of, and you found out and you were really messed up over it, or you had invested, you know, X amount of years. So, you know, that old adage rings true, man. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Now, some of you out there are just so cold-blooded, y'all just don't give a damn. So for y'all, it really ain't gonna matter. You say, you know, you get what you get, you know, all that other kind of stuff. So again, man, examine yourself. Make sure you walking right, that you can live with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Make sure that spirit is right. And I think if you do those things, then you can answer whether or not psychological warfare is a righteous thing, or, you know, manipulation, deception, what have you. So as we conclude, beloved, first and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in with me, rocking with your boy, for this inaugural video. It's been an absolute pleasure, you know, presenting this information to you. Again, this is the first of many. For the most part, my other videos won't be as elaborate with, you know, multiple clips. There'll be, you know, no more than 3 or 4 clips at, you know, if that, where I touch on a specific topic and we delve deep into it for the benefit of all of us, you know, whether it be to be reminded of something, to be enlightened to something, to be educated, to be informed, to be provoked, you know, to evoke a certain emotion, to move us to change, you know, to transform the way we see things, gain a new perspective, or, you know, become more open-minded, whatever, you know, whatever the case is. That's the goal of these videos, and it's my prayer that this video was impactful to you beyond just talking about two people getting inside of an octagon and punching each other out. You know, again, psychological warfare is real, and what I want you to take away from this, you know, of course, most of us aren't fighters. We are martial artists. We don't do, you know, professional sports for a living, but we are put in situations and relationships where we feel like we have to get the upper hand on our opponent or our opposite, or that we have to manipulate the situation because we like being in control. We're insecure about certain aspects of ourselves where we need to have control over things so the real us isn't exposed, or we feel like our opponent or our partner, the other in the relationship, isn't doing what they're supposed to do, and we feel like we can't get through to them without having to control the situation by taking advantage of their triggers or understanding the way that they work and using body language against them. I could go on and go on, but the point is this: there's something for us all to glean from the idea of psychological warfare, manipulation, and body language. And the goal with this video was just to expose you to it and for it to move you, excuse me, and for it to move you in whatever way was most beneficial and impactful to you. So, having said that, yeah, it's a wrap. It's Rap City for us. Tune in for the next video. Most likely it will be the Kanye versus ... to be determined. I may do a Kanye versus Kanye, what's beef, or I may do Kanye versus the liberals. I don't know. It may be a triple threat. Kanye versus the liberals. Who knows, man. But I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll focus on his White House speech, and then I believe it was his SNL epilogue monologue, and I think there may be another clip. I don't think I need to go over the whole TMZ interview, slavery was a choice thing, although I do have some opinions about that. I may do that as a part of a postscript for that video. But anyway, enough of that, enough chatter. Once again, love you all. I appreciate the love and the support. I know it's early out, but we're gonna run this race together, man, and have a great time doing it. So until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.
Beef, it's what's for dinner.
That's a wrap. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and comment. Also check us out on IG, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Patreon, all under Lusu Media Group. And as always, you can get in-depth content on Patreon once you subscribe. Also check out our Lusu Designs lifestyle apparel, which you can now purchase online. See the description for the links. And last but certainly not least, shout out all my sponsors for their support. Definitely appreciate the love on there, and their info is also below in the description. Alright family, until next time, be blessed.